A shocking tale from a small town. A story of redemption. Subscribe for more gripping stories and share this one with your friends. The dirt road wound alongside an abandoned cornfield, cloaked in darkness save for the silvery moonlight peeking through scattered clouds. Donna Benedetto's footsteps crunched rhythmically on the gravel, her mind drifting to the day's events. The church had been bustling, preparing for the Thanksgiving celebration. Despite her aching back and creaking knees, Donna Benedetta stayed late, scrubbing pews and folding linens. Her calloused hands found peace in these acts of service. In one hand, she carried a paper bag with food for Zika, an elderly neighbor bedridden with fever. She always checked on him, bringing meals and kind words. The dry corn stalks rustled eerily as she walked the shortcut home, a path she found unsettling but familiar. Murmuring a prayer for protection, she pressed on, her thoughts on the small town she called home. As one of the few black residents, she faced prejudice often, but met it with quiet dignity, refusing to let bitterness take root that a sudden glare of headlights snapped her from her thoughts. A pickup truck slowed behind her, its engine growling. Glancing over her shoulder, she hoped it would pass. Instead, it stopped. 5 figures loomed in the truck bed. Local boys, loud and reckless. "Look who we got here!" Joka, their leader, taunted. Tall and broad-shouldered, he carried himself with the arrogance of someone untouchable, backed by his family's influence. Donna Benedetta kept walking, head high. "Good evening," she said firmly, hoping to defuse the tension. Joka leapt from the truck, blocking her path. "What's the rush? Let's chat." His friends snickered, though one, Tiago, a lanky, nervous boy, hung back, eyes darting uneasily. "I'm going home," she replied calmly. "I'd appreciate if you let me be." Joka's smile turned cold. "No trouble. You think we're trouble." The laughter grew forced, tension simmering beneath their bravado. Tiago spoke up, barely audible. "Joka, let's go." Joka's glare silenced him. Getting soft, Tiago, leaning closer to Donna Benedetta, his voice dropped to a menacing whisper. "Maybe we should teach you a lesson." Her stomach churned, but she stood firm. "You don't want to do this." Joka signaled the others. "Grab her." Before she could react, 2 boys seized her, dragging her toward the cornfield. Her bag fell, food spilling onto the gravel. She fought, but their grip was too strong. "Let me go," she shouted. Joka laughed darkly. "You'll regret talking back, old lady." Tiago stood frozen, his face pale with conflict as they vanished into the shadows. The cornfield's skeletal stalks loomed under the faint moonlight. Donna Benedetta's heels scraped the uneven ground as they pulled her deeper. Her shawl snagged on a cornstalk, left behind like a discarded memory. Joka led the way, his flashlight cutting through the dark, his boots crunching with purpose. The others followed, their earlier bravado fading into nervous silence. "Where are you taking me?" she demanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her chest. Joka smirked. "Just having a little fun. Don't worry, you'll be fine if you can handle some dirt." Tiago lingered at the group's edge, hands stuffed in his pockets, shoulders hunched. Joka stopped at a shallow pit, dug weeks ago by kids and forgotten. "Put her in," he ordered. 2 boys hesitated. "This ain't right," Chris, a wiry teen, muttered. Joka's eyes narrowed. "Scared, Chris? Want to be next?" Chris backed down, pale and silent. Reluctantly, they pushed Donna Benedetta into the pit. She fell to her knees, gripping the loose soil. "You think this makes you men?" she shouted, eyes blazing. "Hurting an old woman? You're cowards." Joka's laugh was hollow. "Maybe some dirt will teach you respect." They shoveled earth over her, the cold, damp soil piling up, choking the air with dust. Tiago watched, trembling, guilt twisting his gut, but his feet wouldn't move. The dirt rose past her legs, then her waist. Dona Benedetta struggled, her breath shallow, the earthy smell overwhelming. Joka crouched at the pit's edge, grinning. "Enjoying the lesson? Maybe next time you'll think twice about being so mouthy." Tears streaked her face, but her voice held firm. "You don't scare me. You're just frightened boys hiding behind each other." Joka's smile faltered. He threw a handful of dirt at her face. "You talk too much." Tiago stepped forward, his voice a whisper. "Joka, that's enough." Joka whipped around, his flashlight blinding Tiago. "What did you say?" Tiago's fist clenched. "I said enough. Let her go." The tension crackled. Joka laughed sharply. "Listen to this. Tiago thinks he's in charge." The others shifted uncomfortably. Chris opened his mouth, but said nothing. Joka stood, brushing dirt from his hands. "Fine, we're done. Let's go." He strode toward the truck, the others trailing like shadows. Tiago lingered, meeting Dona Benedetta's steady gaze. "Go," she whispered, "before he turns on you." Heart pounding, Tiago ran after them, their laughter fading into the night. Alone, Dona Benedetta closed her eyes, whispering a prayer. The moonlight bathed her tear-streaked face as she waited, the cold seeping into her bones. The truck roared down the empty road, dust swirling in its wake. Joka gripped the wheel, jaw tight, while the others sat in silence. Tiago, wedged between Chris and Danny, stared at his clenched fists, the weight of their actions crushing him. Joka cranked the radio, static giving way to old rock, but the music couldn't drown out the tension. "That was fun," Joka said, his forced cheer ringing hollow. "You'll remember this one for a while." No one replied. Chris stared out the window. Danny scratched his arm, avoiding eye contact. Tiago's stomach churned. "You went too far, Joka," Chris muttered. Joka slammed the wheel, making them jump. "Too far? She's fine. We didn't kill her." The word "kill" hit Tiago like a punch. He saw Dona Benedetta's face, her eyes defiant yet terrified. "She didn't deserve that," he blurted, voice shaking. "What if no one finds her? What if she can't get out?" Joka's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, locking onto Tiago's. "If you're so worried, go dig her up yourself." Tiago's throat closed. He wanted to scream, to demand they turn back, but fear glued him in place. Joka smirked. "Thought so. No guts." The truck stopped at a clearing where the boys often hung out. Joka killed the engine. "Listen up. Not a word about tonight to anyone. Parents, girlfriends, nobody. If one of you talks, we all go down, and I'll make sure you regret it." Tiago nodded with the others, his stomach twisting. Joka lit a cigarette, exhaling smoke. "Now get home and act like nothing happened." One by one, they climbed out, movements heavy. Tiago lingered, words stuck in his throat. Joka's eyes narrowed. "Got something to say?" Tiago shook his head and fled, the cool night air slapping his face as the others scattered. Tiago stood at the clearing's edge, staring toward the distant cornfield. Guilt consumed him. He couldn't go home. Not yet. Waiting until Joka's truck vanished, He turned back toward the cornfield, each step heavier than the last. The cornfield was eerily silent, the rustling stalks whispering secrets. Tiago's phone flashlight barely pierced the dark. Donna Benedetta, he called, voice trembling. No answer. Panic gripped him as he stumbled toward the pit. It was empty, the earth disturbed, but no longer full. His breath caught. Had she escaped? Had someone found her? Or was it too late? Donna Benedetta, he shouted louder. Still nothing. He sank to his knees, the flashlight falling. Guilt and fear overwhelmed him. After what felt like hours, he forced himself up, staggering out of the cornfield. A faint engine rumble reached his ears. Turning, he saw headlights approaching, a tractor moving slowly. A man's silhouette emerged, and Tiago whispered, "Please, let her be okay." In the pit, Donna Benedetta shivered, the damp earth pressing against her. Her hands shook from cold and fear. She tried to move, but the soil held her fast. Her breaths were shallow as she stared at the vast sky. The tractor's rumble grew louder, its headlights flickering through the corn. Was it real, or a desperate hope? "Help!" she screamed, her voice hoarse. "Please help me." Her cries carried on the wind, growing weaker. The engine stopped. She held her breath, straining to hear. "Hello," a gruff voice called, an older man, weathered by time. "Who's out there?" "I'm here," she gasped. "In the pit. Help me." Footsteps quickened, a flashlight beam landing on her face. The man gasped. "My God," he muttered, rushing to the pit's edge. "What happened? Who did this?" "Some boys," she whispered. "They dragged me here, buried me." The man, Hollis, set down his flashlight and began digging with surprising gentleness. "Don't worry, I'll get you out." Exhausted, Donna Benedetta murmured, "Thank you." Hollis worked quickly, freeing her shoulders and arms. He helped her climb out, steadying her as her legs buckled. "You okay?" he asked, concern etched on his weathered face. She nodded weakly. "I think so." Hollis guided her to his tractor, offering water from his toolbox. "I'm Hollis," he said, starting the engine. "Got a farm nearby. Let's get you cleaned up, then figure out what's next." Donna Benedetta hesitated, glancing at the pit. "I don't want trouble. Those boys, their families won't take kindly to this." Hollis frowned, gripping the wheel. What they did was a crime. They need to face consequences. She sighed. "I've lived here long enough to know justice isn't always fair." Hollis studied her, then nodded reluctantly. "All right, let's get you home first. You decide what's next after some rest." The tractor rumbled through the cornfield to the road, its headlights slicing the dark. Donna Benedetta clutched the water bottle, her mind racing. She recognized some of the boys, Joka, Tiago. Tiago's hesitation, his guilt, stood out. Maybe there was hope for him. T. Hollis's modest farm. A warm light glowed from the porch. He led her inside, offering a blanket and tea. "Stay here tonight if you want," he said, "or I'll drive you home when you're ready." Sipping the tea, she felt warmth return. "Thank you, Hollis. I'll go home soon. Just need to sit a bit." He sat across from her, thoughtful. "Sure you don't want to go to the police? I'll go with you." She shook her head. "Not yet. I need to think this through." Hollis leaned back, respect in his eyes. "You're a better person than me, Donna Benedetta. I'd want them punished." "Punishment isn't always the answer," she said firmly. "Sometimes people need to be shown a different path." Hollis didn't reply, but his expression softened. As the night wore on, Donna Benedetta sat in the cozy kitchen, her resolve hardening. She'd survive, but what came next would decide whether this broke or transformed her town. At T-Dawn, Tiago stood outside Joka's house, gravel crunching under his sneakers. Sleepless, haunted by Donna Benedetta's face, he needed to act. Knocking on the door, his heart raced. Joka answered, bleary-eyed and annoyed. "What are you doing here?" "It's early. We need to talk," Tiago said, voice shaky. "About last night." Joka stepped outside, closing the door. "I said we don't talk about it." Tiago pressed on. "We went too far, Joka. She could be hurt, or worse. We have to check on her." Joka scoffed. "You serious?" "She's fine. Stop whining." Tiago's voice rose. "We buried her alive. What if no one found her?" Joka's jaw tightened, a flicker of doubt in his eyes, but he shook it off. "She's just an old lady. She'll get over it." "She's Donna Benedetta," Tiago snapped. "She's helped everyone, including my family. You know what we did was wrong." Joka loomed over him, eyes blazing. "Keep your mouth shut, Tiago. If you talk, we all go down, and I'll make sure you suffer most." Before Tiago could reply, Joka's father appeared, his presence commanding. "What's going on?" Joka lied smoothly. "Just school stuff, Dad. Tiago's leaving." The man nodded, retreating inside. Joka glared at Tiago. "Get out." Tiago left, heart heavy. Joka wouldn't budge, but Tiago couldn't let this go. Later, at Chris's dimly lit garage, Tiago recounted his failed talk with Joka. "He won't listen," Tiago said, "but we can't ignore this. What if she's hurt?" Chris sighed, uneasy. "Joka's got us all scared. It's not easy to stand up to him." "I think we should go back," Tiago urged. "Just us. Check on her, see if she's okay." Chris's eyes widened. "If Joka finds out," Tiago cut in, "we'll be careful. I can't live with this if we don't try." After a long pause, Chris nodded. "All right, but if Joka knows, we're done." That night, they returned to the cornfield, flashlights trembling in their hands. The pit was empty, the earth disturbed. "She's gone," Chris whispered. "Maybe someone found her." Tiago nodded, relief and fear warring within him. "I hope so." They left quickly, the weight of their actions lingering. The next morning, Donna Benedetta sat at her kitchen table, tea steaming in her hands. Her body ached, but her spirit was unbroken. She knew what to do. Not vengeance, but change. She wanted the boys to face their actions and choose a better path. Tiago's guilt had been clear. He was her starting point. Dressed simply, she walked to the Wilkins house, Tiago's home. The quiet streets stirred as neighbors watched, but she kept her head high. At the modest two-story house, she knocked. Tiago's mother, weary-eyed, answered. "Can I help you?" "I'm Benedetto Walker," she said warmly. "I need to speak with Tiago about last night." The woman's eyes widened, sensing something grave. She invited Donna Benedetta inside. In the living room, Tiago froze, his face draining of color. "Donna Benedetta," he whispered. She nodded gently. "Hello, Tiago." His mother frowned, worried. "What's this about?" Donna Benedetta met Tiago's eyes. "I came to talk about last night. Your mother deserves the truth." Tiago's shoulders slumped. "Mom, I need to tell you something." His mother sat beside him, tense. "What is it?" Tiago's voice broke. "Last night, me and some guys, we did something awful to Donna Benedetta." Her mother paled. "What do you mean?" Donna Benedetta spoke softly. "They dragged me to the old cornfield, buried me up to my neck, and left me. Silence smothered the room. Tiago's mother stared at him, horrified. Is this true? Tiago nodded, shame overwhelming him. I didn't want to hurt her, I swear. Joka made us, and I didn't stop him. His mother's voice cracked. I'm so sorry, Dona Benedetta. I had no idea. Dona Benedetta touched her arm. I'm not here to blame or punish Tiago. I want him to understand his actions and that he can do better. Tiago's tears. I want to make it right. I don't know how, but I do. She smiled. That's why I'm here. I want you and the others to come to the church. Help repair what's broken. Make amends. That's all I ask. His mother's eyes filled with gratitude. You're giving him a chance to redeem himself. Dona Benedetta nodded. Everyone deserves a chance to change. I believe Tiago wants to. She turned to his mother. I need Tiago to bring the others to the church this weekend. We have work to do. His mother squeezed Dona Benedetta's hand. Thank you for giving them this chance. On Saturday morning, Dona Benedetta stood outside the church, scanning the street. She'd prepared for this moment, knowing it could go either way. Footsteps approached. Tiago, Chris, and two others, looking nervous but present. Behind them, Joka appeared, his face guarded, shoulders tense. She sensed he was there out of obligation, not remorse. Thank you for coming, she said warmly but firmly. We have work to do. Joka rolled his eyes. You think this'll change anything? She met his gaze. I think it's a start. What happens next is up to you. She led them to the church's back, where a broken pew awaited repair. The boys worked quietly, sanding splintered wood and hammering nails. As they labored, Dona Benedetta shared stories of the church's community, its struggles, and its kindness. She spoke of forgiveness, not to shame them, but to show a better path. After lunch, she gathered them. Today, we're not just fixing the church. We're bringing kindness to the community. People need to see we can choose better. Tiago nodded eagerly, his friends exchanging determined glances. They followed her to Dona Joanna's house, a small home with a sagging porch. Dona Benedetta knocked, and Dona Joanna, an elderly black woman, answered, surprised to see the group. We're here to fix your porch, Dona Benedetta said. Dona Joanna's eyes narrowed, recognizing some boys. You're here to help? She asked skeptically. Tiago stepped forward. Yes, ma'am. We want to make it right, if you'll let us. After a long pause, Dona Joanna nodded, a faint smile forming. Let's see what you can do. Under Dona Benedetta's guidance, the boys replaced broken boards, sanded, and painted. Dona Joanna watched, her wariness softening as she saw their effort. As the sun set, the porch gleamed. Dona Joanna stepped onto it, tears in her eyes. It's beautiful. Thank you, boys. Joka met her gaze, feeling a spark of hope. We're just glad to help, ma'am. Dona Joanna smiled. You did good today. Be proud. Dona Benedetta watched, her heart full. The boys had faced their past and chosen to make a difference. Dona Joanna pulled her aside. You did something special with these boys, Dona Benedetta. She smiled. They did it themselves. I just gave them the chance. As they returned to the church, laughter filled the night air. The weight of that terrible night hadn't vanished, but it had transformed into something healing. They knew the road ahead was long, but they were ready to walk it together. Thank you for reading. Subscribe for more stories, share this one, and check out our other tales. There's always more to discover.